Hello and welcome everybody to the Ballers Across the Pond. Week 10 is now in the books. All of the international games are now over. How are you boys doing? Yes, boo, 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 boo. How are you boys doing? This is my final cast until after Christmas. So you boys are going to be holding down the fort, but until then we've got a little bit to discuss because there's certainly a lot to discuss. So Will and Peter, how are you boys doing? And welcome in.
No, we're doing well. I'm doing well. I'm sure Peter is as well, seeing as his QB is back and looking like the Kyler of old.
He's alive.
He's alive. We're at that point in the season now where, like, we know, or we at least would like to say we know what each team is right now. And how far their season's going to go. You know, they've been upsets as well, and there've been some unexpected developments as well. But it's really good. Like, we're at the perfect point in the season. One thing I'll say is that this year in particular, there's very few like absolute dominant teams. Like, teams have losses. We're talking 3-4 losses easy.
Or the moment we say that some team is dominant, right, Peter?
Yep.
The moment we say somebody is dominant, they lay an absolute egg.
That's very true. This week was interesting because a lot of the teams that are tops and you at this point in the season starts to expect them to separate themselves. Majority of them lost games or they struggled in games, but it was more of a case of I saw a lot of good teams beating themselves this weekend. So hopefully it could be a one-off situation, or can this snowball into whereby we can start seeing some changes at the top of their records.
Teams are snowballing it one way or the other. Some teams are picking up wins when we don't expect them to pick up wins. And some people are picking up losses when we don't expect them to pick up losses. But before we get into breaking down some of the performances and some of the teams, there's some news. The first bit of news, we're just going to mention it and touch on because it is our first subject of the day. But Ken Dorsey has been fired as the offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills. They lost to the Denver Broncos in spectacular fashion last night. We're going to talk about that just in a few minutes' time, so we're not going to... we'll talk about that game just in a few minutes' time, so we're not going to discuss this at large. But other news, in terms of injuries, Leighton Vander Esch, linebacker for the Cowboys, out for the season. Has an impact on...
Big one.
Yeah, with a neck injury, so he's going to be missing the rest of the season. It has an impact on the Cowboys defense, but I think the bigger thing for the Cowboys is how that defensive line plays and how the cornerbacks play, right?
Yeah.
The middle is less important, has been less important for them.
Yeah, I mean it has, because except when they come up against teams that are very run dominant or teams that have a very dominant running game. Because if you look back to Dan Quinn, historically he comes from the Seattle defense, Legion of Boom, whereby they play a lot of cover 3, whereby their corners are lined up on one side only, and it's like the front and the back end working together, so they create that sort of like pressure from their front four, and then the cornerbacks, and the middle is not as important, especially when you play teams that are not run dominant, and especially teams that passes the football. The Cowboys are great against. So essentially, when they come up against teams that are run dominant, they might have some issues when it comes to the run game. So I think they'll be okay, but I'm not sure how far they'll be in the playoffs when teams tend to run the football a bit more.
Yeah, it's going to certainly be interesting to see that. Other injuries. Derek Carr in the concussion protocol. So that could have an impact on the Saints. Jameis had some nice throws.
My man, Jameis!
Jameis had some nice throws, but then there is a cycle of Jameis because he can look like the world's best quarterback and then the world's worst in the same game.
I wanted to start James, though, would have had a better shot because he came off the bench and he threw us a beautiful touchdown to Chris Olave.
That isn't in any of our nominations for Player of the Week, but boy, that was a beautiful catch. And the other catch,
yes,
the simultaneous catch, that was a risky throw. But the thing is, if you trust your guy and you know he's going to go up and make the play,
give him
you
a
put it up
chance.
there. You give him a chance, right? Haley Heineke injured his hamstring. Then Desmond Ridder came back in the game and looked good, right? What is going on? What on earth is happening in Atlanta? But what we do know is that they're not going to be firing their head coach, no matter what happens, which is annoying a lot of Falcons fans.
Mate, I'm telling you right
Do you know
now,
what? Do you know what?
You think an organization. If I'm
it's not about that.
Fan,
Well, I got a theory about that. The reason why it's not getting fired anytime soon is because that is passing some millions down Arthur Smith's way. Because think about it, his dad used to be the CEO of FedEx and has a lot of money. Washington's
that's a
field
stretch.
was named as FedEx Field, and he has and Atlanta Falcons has FedEx as one of their sponsors. So when you put the links together, Arthur Smith is the son of a billionaire, and billionaires have friends. So daddy might say,
I could see,
I want to secure my son a little bit. Just give him 1 more year.
That's viable.
And,
do you know what?
I'll write a fact check to the charity ball that we are having this Christmas. There'll be a nice little donation for the boys and girls.
That's more of a thing I would see in Formula One than in the NFL, because what makes teams even more money is winning, right?
Yeah, that's true, but it depends though, because when it comes to NFL ownership, right? I have this theory, right? So quick one is relationships, right? And NFL owners, right? Historically, the teams that the owners rely on the team to make them a lot of money are the ones whereby it's the family owned the team and it's passed down generations to the son. Owners that had their money before they bought the team is another stream of business, but they also make money elsewhere too. Like the Panthers owner, he had his money and his businesses, which are still running. Arthur Smith still has Home Depot. Arthur Blank, still has Home Depot as well as the Falcons. So he is like new money's. But anyway,
I think you're onto something.
Despite all of that, even if they don't fire him, I'm just thinking to myself, why? Say the Falcons don't win another game, are you really gonna keep him as the head coach?
But then sometimes they say one thing and do a different thing, so you never know.
Arthur Smith is kind of like that guy that's the forgotten man. Sometimes I have to take a double take because I'm always like, this guy's the coach.
Or is all of this because he doesn't have an actual quarterback there, right? You can't really.
But okay, so here's the thing, right?
Or is it because he's that, and I'm going to say it, because he is of a particular complexion, he gets that pass?
I think Pete is
that plays a part in it.
I think Pete is there because of the connection.
The connections also play a part to do with it. But what I'm saying is that
because we have seen teams play badly, right? No, so
how
Peter,
long has he been there?
I think this is his second year.
No, I think it's been longer than that. This is his third season.
Third season.
Charge of the
7 and 10,
Falcons, right?
7 and 10, 7 and 10. He looks like he could go 7 and 10 again, right?
See, the question is,
at what point,
because the Falcons as they stand right now, we all know they're just a QB away. They've got all the pieces, but they just don't have the quarterback. And without the quarterback, you're not going to win a lot of games, and we all know this.
Yeah, but do you want Arthur Smith there when you bring in a new guy? Because he might not be able to ride that ship. The damage is already done. Because I'm saying, even though you're losing these games, how are you establishing the run game? Like a lot of people are saying, you have Bijan Robinson goal line, you choose not to run him. You've got this
Although
talented back that you took in the top 10 as a
they
running
find
back, and you're not going to use him. Are you
they
trying to keep
finally
him healthy or what?
They finally started using Bijan this last week. So again, which had people had fantasy players screaming hallelujah, but
too little, too late for them.
I think it's because Bijan's from Tucson, Arizona, and it was a homecoming game for him. So it was a case of Bijan's like, I'm getting 20 carries whether you like it or not, because I'm going back to my home state. I need to show out. And he did show out.
He did. All right. Other injuries? Oh, no, those are the two injuries. Jack Jones, cornerback, waived by the Patriots. Michael Carter, running back for the Jets, cut by, released, whatever it was, by the Jets. And finally, Jags wide receiver Zay Jones arrested for misdemeanor domestic battery. Why do we seem to have a story related to domestic violence and an NFL player almost every other week? Cut it out.
Fouls as well.
Cut it out. All right, let's move on to the week's action. And first subject is going to be the Buffalo Bills. And I'm going to frame it like this. I'll be wrong to consider Josh Allen an elite quarterback.
I don't
because everyone talks about Josh Allen. I know everyone talks about Josh Allen and the Bills as Super Bowl contenders. Super Bowl contenders should not be 5-5 losing to the Denver Broncos at home.
Yeah,
They should not have a record the same as the Indianapolis Colts, who don't even have their QB1.
Yeah, they've underperformed this year.
The Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, they have underperformed this season, 100%. But I don't think that's solely on Josh. You know, he had like a hard time at the start of the year, sort of regressing a little bit as far as his decision making. But that comes down to coaching and preparation. You know, clearly even now they don't really have an identity. You know, sometimes they enter a game and they decide, hey, we're going to try and establish a run game. Oh, well, I guess we can't. All right, we're just going to sling the rock down the field, see what happens. You know, what is their bread and butter? What is their MO?
If you look at this season on the offensive side of the ball, so we know they lost Matt Milano, obviously, on the defensive side. That's had a massive impact on the way they play the game. But you look at the turnovers. Game 1, 4 turnovers. Game 2, nothing. Yeah. They win it, right? Game 3, they win it, but they still turn the ball over once. Game 4, so in the first 4 games, they turned the ball over in 2 of the 4 games. Since then, 2 turnovers, 2 turnovers, 2 turnovers, 1 turnover, 2 turnovers, 4 turnovers. They are turning the ball over a lot on the offensive side of the ball. And on the defensive side of the ball, they've got 2 turnovers since week 5. So they are not getting the ball back off the opposition either.
Yep, they're not taking the ball away. And at the same time, a big issue is them turning the ball over. And it's a bit hard to explain because and they just fired their offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey, right? Which I understand because, you know, I'm guessing he's a scapegoat for the way the offense hasn't performed.
I'm not going to use the word scapegoat because I watched a piece of footage that Dan Orlovsky, so, you know, like Dan Orlovsky, after the week, he normally gets some All-22 footage and he explains, right, what went wrong. And there was a 4th and 1 play. I don't know if you guys have seen it. There was a 4th and 1 play. Josh Allen throwing the ball, and they use motion for the sake of using motion, right? They don't actually learn anything from it. So Kincaid goes into motion to the right side of the field. The defense doesn't, you know, they pass him off because they're in zone.
Yep. So they're in zone, yep.
Right? Yep. And they had one corner, so they're in zone, but they have one corner on the right hand side playing man. Just one person playing man specifically. But when you go, and they had only, and they were coming out of shotgun. So effectively, when you're coming out of shotgun, you are making making it a little bit more difficult for you to get that 1 yard, because you're going to have to pass the ball 6 yards at least. Yep. 5-6 yards, right? And they went into zone, and the way that the play call meant they had to execute perfectly and then rely on the opponent not playing good to be able to get that 1 yard.
Okay,
the middle of the field, if he had checked out of that play into an inside zone, they're getting that first down.
Okay, that's a good point.
True.
That's a good point.
And you know what we talk about the Dolphins? Sorry, okay. You know we talk about the Dolphins and how much they use motion, and they use it and they learn something from it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Mike McDaniel's on a different category as Ken Doss in terms of play call and play design. But what I'm saying is with the Buffalo Bills, the reason why I say that is because last year, they went 13-3, same offensive coordinator who took over after Dayball. Josh Allen's numbers wasn't far from his normal stat line, 35 touchdowns, 49 INTs. So, my question is this a case of this season, maybe was he trying to do too much? Was he trying to maybe say, okay, let me put my stamp on this offense? Because this is an offense that was executed by Dayball. You were on the staff and it worked. So sometimes is this a paralysis by analysis by Ken Dorsey that ultimately ended up with him getting fired? Because sometimes when you feel like I'm the OC now, let me try and implement something when you don't need to, that could cause issues too.
Or would you say that this year, so if you look at the stats for Josh Allen, right? 70% completion percentage looks great, right?
Yeah, that's always a good
19
number.
touchdowns to 11 interceptions. Looks great. But it doesn't tell you the full story.
Yeah, it doesn't translate to wins.
No, it doesn't. I mean...
Because a lot of those completions are short completions. They're not really pushing the ball down. They're not able to push the ball down the field, generally. Which is a hallmark of how Buffalo plays, generally.
It's a hallmark of how Josh Allen plays sometimes as well. He's got a big arm, he tends to want to use it.
They've fumbled the ball 10 times this season already. Now, James Cook did the most glorious fumble yesterday. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Yeah, the ball punched out and the ball bounced and then bounced back into his arms and he carried on running. That game yesterday was something else. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, but I saw the Bills lost it by having 12 men on the field for the field goal block attempt. Which was going to give the Broncos a first down.
So yesterday, we know the Ant and Deck memes, right? So I created that one. So I put a meme up in our group chat and in a bunch of group chats where it was like, all right, tell them the Broncos are going to miss the field goal. And now tell them the Buffalo Bills had 12 men on the field, because it begged belief, right? They had the win. And then you saw the flag. I was like, oh no. And they came out, 12 men on the field. Penalties lost them that game yesterday.
Have you guys? Okay, maybe this is different on there, but have you guys heard of the apparent sort of Riley Dixon placeholder kicker and the drama coming out from that?
So
Stickum, but what people believe is Stickum. So he's basically got like some kind of substance on the sort of front side of his arm, and it looks like it's Stickum, some kind of like a adhesive that he can use to sort of grip the ball. So obviously the placeholder guy catches the ball and then puts it down. Now, as a kicker, you do not want this, because any sort of friction on the ball could affect the kick. All right. So as a kicker, you don't want this. not just that, but as a team, you don't want it either. But there's like, if you go online, like there's clear sort of footage online of this substance on his hands. So it's basically like it's not on his fingertips, but he can easily just wipe his hand across.
You said
the top of
Riley
his hand.
Dixon.
Riley Dixon. This is almost like in baseball. The baseball player would have it like round his neck, and then he basically
but they
they
get tossed out for that because you're not allowed to have it.
Yeah, they get tossed out for that. But what we're seeing is we saw it in this game during the field goal from Denver to win the game. So that's definitely gonna sort of lead to some investigations there. He's definitely not going to do that again now because it's blatant.
Yeah,
it's blatant. But it's blatantly for what it is. But he's definitely not going to do it again now.
Okay, do you know what? Okay, so here's the thing. Why would you need to stick him as a holder?
Yeah, you just catch the ball.
I'm guessing it's his own prerogative.
Yeah, I get it.
But
although we did see some hilarious. Did you see? I don't know.
I get it, but as an NFL player,
the holder was it in this game, but the holder put the ball down sideways. There was one holder this week, and then he tried to run out with the ball. I was in tears because I was like, "No, he put the ball down incorrectly. He didn't put it down that way. He put it down this way." Which makes no sense.
I'm not sure.
I can't remember which game.
I do know for a fact when it comes to kicking is that a lot of kickers don't like to be facing the laces. They want the laces away when they're kicking a football. Because I don't know why, because apparently it throws them off for some reason when they see the laces of the football.
It's more of just absorption. Because the laces are harder. So therefore it absorbs some of the impact. You won't be able to kick it as hard.
Well, listen, like Will have said in the past, if NFL teams don't want to ever miss kicks, just get a soccer player that's very good at kicking the ball long and you get.
Well, it's that or rugby players.
Like for instance, exactly, goalkeepers from football can become
that's what some of them are.
Best kickers in the NFL.
That's what Josh Lambo was, I think. I think he was a goalkeeper.
They become some of the best NFL kickers. But I digress. Interesting scenario.
So getting back to the Bills. Okay, the second question I'll ask is, are the Bills going to miss the playoffs? You look at their schedule, it looks horrific. Utterly horrific.
Yeah. I think for a lot of Bills Bills Mafia, they've come to the conclusion that this is basically done. And that they're looking to sort of pack it in.
Whoa.
So I mean, if you go on that Reddit, they're literally there like, you know what? Let's just learn.
Okay, so when you say it's done, right? Is it just this season? Because one thing I don't get,
All right, I'm gonna.
They've massively underperformed, Pete.
They've got to play the Eagles, Chiefs, Cowboys, Chargers, Dolphins.
They have massively underdelivered. And if they can't win games like this, then
I agree with you all.
Things going forward.
Okay, I don't listen. I agree with what you guys are saying, that they have massively underperformed. But here's the thing: in the NFL, sometimes certain teams rise when their backs are against the wall. Same as we are saying that we don't expect them to win all the games or run the gauntlet.
All right, okay.
But it won't surprise me if they do, because they have the ability to do so.
Well,
I'll ask you one question. I'll ask you a question. Are they capable of going into Philadelphia and winning away?
They are, but I don't think it's likely. But they're capable.
Right?
The question: are they capable? Yes, they are capable.
No. Are they capable with the way they're playing this season?
Yes, because remember NFL any given Sunday, basically.
Okay.
Any given
Sunday. And that any
chance, I guess.
Right. Are they capable? Is Josh Allen and the way he's playing this season, which is not error-free football, capable of going into Kansas City against the way the Kansas City defense is playing this year and winning that game?
Okay, that's the one team that no matter how hard they try, they're gonna lose because they can't beat Kansas and Kansas City. They've tried so many times, they can't do it.
Right? Then they have the Cowboys. And
that deal would do because Cowboys don't play well.
We say that the
against,
Cowboys don't play good against
teams.
good teams, but
I mean, we've had an example this week.
then they go play the Chargers. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that's a choke off, right?
Yeah, it is a choke off, but it's a choke off more on the Chargers. Listen, that game, Chargers more likely to lose it on the Bills because the thing about the Chargers is
In SoFi,
no matter how well they play,
that's going to
they
be
find a way
interesting,
to
right?
lose. Even in SoFi.
And then final 2 games of the season: Patriots at home.
That's
The thing is, they've already lost to the Patriots this season. The Patriots might just turn up to try and make them lose and knock them out of the playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
You never know. The defense may play just lights out and just knock them out. You don't know. And then the final game in Miami, in the warmth.
I know they
They could not make the playoffs. We don't know. They could not make it.
I mean, they'll have to run the gauntlet, which I don't think they can do.
All right. I see them, and the thing is, they play the Jets this week, right? They could still lose that game.
Yeah.
Because Jets defense does not care who they play against. All right. Let's. I'll touch upon the Broncos. We're going to talk about them a little bit more when we look at the Week 11 previews. So, Russ looks good to a point, so we'll talk about that a little bit later on. All right. Now, last week, we bigged up the Ravens to the point I asked you boys a question: are they the team to beat in the NFL? Earlier on this season, I said the San Francisco 49ers is the most dominant team, right? They go and lose. Mm-hmm. Then we put a segment saying, are the Detroit Lions the best team in the NFC? And then they go and lay a goose egg. And then the Ravens go up 14 points twice in the game on 2 separate occasions, and they conspire to lose this game. And everything tells me that the Cleveland Browns on the offense are utterly abysmal. And they're winning games because either the defense plays well or the opponent capitulates. Utterly because the Ravens should not have lost this game in a month of Sundays. And they still managed to do it. The play calling was just egregious.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think the 2 interceptions didn't help. You know, I think that tipped the scales, but that kind of goes to show, I mean, even with 2 INTs, you still lose a game by a 2-point margin. Like it was that close, you know, as far as how many errors did the Ravens have to commit to sort of give this game to Cleveland. You know, they
look completely and utterly comfortable. And then, do you know what? There was the boys know my brother's a Ravens fan. Within 3 plays of the drive, they went up, was it 28-14 or something? I think it. Within 3 plays of the start of the next drive for the Browns, my brother said, we are losing this game. Because all of a sudden, the Browns, they said, yep, that's it. This game's done. They were 14 points up.
14
he
points
says,
up.
we are going to lose this game. And the reason why was they were getting chunk play.
Yeah.
And so it was just going to snowball. And as soon as the Browns were going to bring it back to 1 touchdown, and then something catastrophic is going to happen. And it was a pick 6.
Yeah. No, it's insane. I think when you see it in slow motion like that, it's never good. You know, I've experienced it myself, but when your defense can't stop the other team and they just march up the field, they're getting big chunk plays, small plays as well going off. That's when you're like, okay, there's nothing we can do to slow them down. The only thing we can do now is try and outscore them. But the Ravens are an offense that's not designed to go into the mid to high 30s. They're meant to get you at around 24 points, and then the defense takes care of the rest, and they sort of chew up the clock.
And
so it's kind of like
is that a
they're
guy
not
who was basically
designed for
on
this
one
type of game.
leg, right?
Yep.
Like, Deshaun was playing awful ball.
Yep. And they still found a way to sort of get it in, Deshaun still had the INT. Amari Cooper actually had a few catches this time round.
As far okay, we also do need to talk about Deshaun.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, that's going to be the worst trade in NFL history. Worst contract in NFL history.
This is his second year of actual football.
And Peter's shouting, but he's muted, so he can't actually see what's going. Tell us what he actually thinks.
Yeah, I like Deshaun,
but he looks like those 2 years out of the game
have messed him up.
He's done. It's going to take him another 2 years to even get back to. He's not going to get. I don't think he can get back to the same heights that he used to get to.
But here's the question, though. Okay, so here's the thing, right? I wonder if he was training during, the whole year because of his off the field that he didn't play.
He couldn't train though.
I think he was keeping.
When I say train, do you get what I mean? Like, okay, so here's the thing, right? One of the things I believe, this is a little bit comparison to Kyler. Kyler had an ACL, came back, and it looked like he hasn't missed a beat even with his throws and stuff like that, right? But with Deshaun, you could tell that even with the way he throws the football, it's not as he used to be. He's not crisp. He's not
as crisp. The release isn't as sharp either.
It's not as sharp as he used to be.
You look.
What I say during those 2 years, almost 2 years that he was away from the game, was he honing his skills? Because one thing that Kyler did, even when he was rehabbing, is that Kyler was still having throwing sessions with his dad, because his dad is his QB coach, personal QB coach in the off season, right? So he was still throwing, he was still trying to keep his arm sharp. Did Deshaun never do that?
You look at this, right? 2018, 2019, 2020, 67 to 70% completion percentage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Between 3,800 and 4,800 yards. Yards per attempt, 7.8 to 8.9. That was his range, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 year the 12 games that he's played for Cleveland, right? 60% completion percentage. 6.5 yards per attempt, so significantly down.
Mm-hmm.
His touchdown percentage is significantly down.
Yep.
And his INT percentage is on the higher end, right? Not terrible, but he just every single thing, every little piece of measure, he's just not quite this. It's his worst stretch in his career. Yeah, his record, like the record of the team, is 6-4 whenever he's played. No, 8-4, because the defense is good.
Yes, because the Browns have an outstanding defense, and also when I look into it, I'm just thinking maybe he's not fully healthy, because this year he's missed some games.
No. He got hurt in this game, but that's because I don't think he's. But sometimes when a player gets hurt, they aren't entirely blameless, right? They're holding on to the ball too long. If they're getting themselves into scenarios that are going to get themselves hurt, then that's not going to help. It doesn't look. The only reason the Cleveland Browns are going to get in the playoffs this season is defense. Their offense is just not it, as far as I'm concerned. All right. Speaking of a team that is currently in the playoffs, do we think that CJ Stroud, rookie quarterback sensation, can get his team into the playoffs?
I think you can. I think there's a chance.
Jinx. going to be like that, right? That was
Yeah,
beautiful synchronization. That was beautiful. Like, I didn't even say which of you boys to talk, and you both said it word for word in stride with each other. It's as if just like you're in the same place, even though you're like miles and miles apart.
No, I think from what we've seen from CJ, we're seeing that he's always improving every week. The game is slowing down and it's just clicked. You know, for some QBs, like I said, I brought this up last week. You know, you've got like a Zach Wilson, where it's taken him a while, and he's actually not he's not playing that badly. Like I think we saw a no-look pass from Zach Wilson this week. And that was very unexpected. And it was right on the money as well, right down the middle between two defenders.
We haven't got a segment on the Jets this week. So the Jets have said they're still sticking with Zach Wilson, and they're saying that because they think objectively he's not playing badly, and I'm in danger of becoming a Zach Wilson hoper. And the reason why I say that, I know I'm digressing. The reason why I say this is he's been driving the ball down the field with them at times, and every time he gets a good play, somebody commits a penalty, sets them back,
and then it sets them back, and
but getting back to CJ Stroud, they're not having that problem, right?
Yeah,
he makes good plays, and the team continues to make a good play.
So we're talking 9 games into the season. I think after the 6th game, he's figured it out. You know, and that's what you want from your 2nd overall pick.
When you say he's figured it out, what do you mean?
The game's slowing down for him.
No, it's not.
What makes you say that?
Or is he just moving more on instinct?
All right. So the reason why I say what makes you say that, right, is because a lot of teams doing a really talented rookie quarterback's first year don't know their tendencies yet, right? There's not a lot of tape on the NFL level on that quarterback. And especially the scheme that he's in is playing into his strengths. They're doing a lot of the things that he did at Ohio State that cater to his strengths as a quarterback. Now, when you know the game has slowed down for him, it's normally in their 2nd and 3rd seasons when they can really look at defenses or what defenses are trying to do to them or do to their particular offense. Think about it. Bobby Slowick came from the San Francisco 49ers, and the scheme that he's running is a mixture of that and what he did in Ohio State.
I get what you're saying.
I could tell you right now,
but for the yardage he's putting out, he's pushing that ball downfield. Like he's not dinking this ball.
Okay, have you forgotten
he has accuracy?
I didn't say he doesn't have accuracy.
Yeah, but
Cam Newton threw forward over 4,000 yards in his rookie year.
I understand.
For Cam Newton?
I feel don't take that away. Don't take it away from CJ, because remember, he's playing for the Houston Texans. We've seen this team with Davis Webb, with pretty much the same players.
Who was the OC? Who was the head coach at that time?
I understand. It's not the same organization and coaching, but all I'm saying is you have to give him some credit. Like it's not easy to come in as a rookie.
I'm giving him credit. The only point I'm disputing is your point about the game slowing down for him in his rookie year.
All right. I'm gonna put some Colts bias on this, right? He can't even be having the best rookie season in AFC South history.
He probably is.
No, because he's not going to have an 11-5 record like Andrew Luck did in his rookie season.
Yeah, but you're going on wins.
Andrew
Luck had 4,374 yards in his rookie season.
How many touchdowns and interceptions? Because I know the interceptions was high.
CJ's only had 2 whole year.
I know Luck's interceptions was high.
Andrew Luck's interceptions was high, but then he was also getting obliterated at times, wasn't he? He was 23 and 18.
See, that 18 number is quite high. CJ could easily get the 30 touchdowns and, fewer than 10 picks or 11 picks or 12 picks if any. What I'm saying is that, okay, in terms of record-wise, the Texans are 5-5 Are they 5-4?
Yeah, they're second place in their
Five,
division at the moment,
5 and
right?
4.
Alright.
They're
They're 5-5. All right, then.
5 and
Okay,
4.
so
They're 5 and
really,
4 at the
this
moment.
weekend, you need to root for my Cardinals because if we
I am
give him
rooting
the
for your
6th
Cardinals.
loss, then he cannot beat Andrew Luck's record.
No, then they're going to 5 and 5 because they're 5 and 4 at the moment. They've had their bye.
Exactly. So if we help you on the way, so you need CJ to have 6 or 7 losses, not to overtake Andrew Luck's winning record as a rookie.
Do you know what the peculiar thing is, though? Right? You look at the teams that they've got to play.
Mm.
They've got your Cardinals, right?
Mm.
Your Cardinals are capable of winning games now, right?
Yep.
Then they've got the London Jags. They've already beaten the Jags this year, and
No, but the Jags tend to bounce back after a loss.
Yeah, but that's a week. Like they've got a game this week, and then they've got. So if they've lost 2 on the bounce, then that's a really wounded animal they're going to be coming up against. Then they've got the Denver Broncos. Broncos seem to have turned the tide.
They're playing well right now.
They're playing well. They've won 3 on the bounce. Then they travel to December 10th, week 14. CJ Stroud against that Jets defense.
That's what we're going to look to see.
That's what we're going to
find out.
Acid tests against elite defenses.
And what if he tortures them?
If he tortures them, fair play. If he tortures them because the defense is on the field so much because Zach Wilson can't get the ball down the field.
No, but hey, you can say no. But it's a very valid point, though. It's a valid point, though.
Now, if it turns into NFL, but if it turns into NFL punt
play.
zone, if it turns into NFL punt zone for both of them,
defense still got to make a stop, man. That's
well, you're making a stop every single making a stop every single time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, if it turns into punt zone, then this game could last, till the weekend after. But so they've got 2 games against the Titans in the last 4 games. They got Cleveland Browns.
Look at it this way: when they played an elite defense, the top defense in the league, currently the Ravens, it was 25-9. Okay.
That's right. Game 1 though. Game 1, there's we set that aside normally, right? Okay, you set the game 1 aside. They played the Falcons, right? Which is not an elite defense. They lost 21-19. It's a good defense, so the Falcons don't let teams put loads of numbers against them at the moment. They kind of so the way I'm looking at the schedule, right? And I'm looking at the schedule, and I'm looking at which elite defenses has he played yet. Also, what elite offenses have they played against? They played the Bengals, who are resurgent, right? Yep. The Bucks aren't an elite offense, and the Bucks put 37 points, but they lost. The Bucks lost to them. They lost to the Panthers, who put up 15 against them. You see, so all we are saying, Will, is this: CJ Stroud is fantastic, Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's locked it. I don't think any other rookie is winning those 2 awards away from him. He's had. Well, no, there's no Rookie of the Year. There's just Offensive Rookie of the Year. Okay, no, there's the Pepsi Rookie of the Year though. Oh yeah, which is not. Yeah, but I think he's locked. Most, and he's probably, if he keeps going on, he probably might make the Pro Bowl as a rookie, as a Pro Bowl callback anyway. So that's fine. But what I'm saying is that the MVP conversations that teams are talking about, I think it's a little bit premature. I don't think he is in a stratosphere winning MVP. If he was having, what Patrick Mahomes did in his first full year of starting. Okay. If he was having that in his rookie year, then I have no problems. Patrick Mahomes' first year of starting, right? He had 15 touchdowns in 3 games. He was on a.
You guys sound like old media, man.
No.
This is when I get your point. You can't be 5 and 4 and be an MVP, right? You're bringing it back to the record. I understand. You're bringing it back to the record. I get it.
Yeah, but you get most valuable player means that you are dragging your teams to wins almost every week. almost every week. No, but he's not. Being just over 500 means that half of the time they are losing.
All right. Okay, I'm not going to argue with that, but I kind of look at it differently. Wins do matter. Don't get me wrong.
Also,
and
I'm biased. Don't forget.
We've still got
he's a
a
biased
good
fan
number
too,
of games. If he can keep up this kind of play, for a good 4 more games, 5 more games.
Right.
I'm not saying he's got to win out, but if he can keep this kind of production.
Well, if he was MVP, he's got to win out. You can't say he cannot be on a win out and win. No, you got to win out because they're 5-5. If they win the rest of their games, they finish 12-5.
I've said this. They're 5-4.
Okay, they're 5-4. So if they wind up with what do you call it? If they win the rest of the ways, what would their record be? 13-4.
13-4.
Then I have no issues. MVP, give it to him. Fine.
All right, fair enough.
You've got to beat the Cardinals, the Jags, the Broncos, the Jets, the Titans, the Browns, the Titans, the Colts.
Manageable.
Beat everybody.
And they've got 5 games at home, so
We'll see. We'll see if he's about that. But I don't think he has anything to prove. I'm not saying as an MVP candidate. I'm saying I don't think he has anything to prove as far as does he belong. You know what I mean?
Oh, he belongs.
Good quarterback.
Oh, he belongs. We've already said that. That's not what we're debating.
CJ Stroud belongs to be the number 2 quarterback in the AFC South behind Anthony Richardson.
That I'll not give you that. I love you, Dilly, but I'll not give you that. I think he's ahead of.
No, I said he belongs to be behind him because then the Colts are doing well, right? That's why. But
no, but to be honest though, I kind of it makes me think
we can't. I don't think we can evaluate Anthony Richardson's season because
but that's what I'm saying. Short. What I'm saying is that if he didn't get injured, right, I kind of believe that he could be neck and neck with CJ right now. Like
the reason why I believe he would because he is so dangerous on the ground.
And he was good. His throws were getting better each week in terms of throwing the football. He was getting better each week.
He just kept on getting hit. That was his problem. All right. Bengals, they've got an important game this week coming. We'll talk about that later on because they are at a point where they can't afford to lose games because the AFC North is so strong. Right? But from one north to the other north, the NFC North so we talk about Joshua Dobbs. Peter, Joshua Dobbs is saving the Vikings season, and we didn't expect it to go this well.
The astronaut.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing very well, and I think moving to the Cardinals this offseason has been a blessing in disguise for Josh Dobbs because he got to play a number of games, 8 games. He got to take his lumps. He got to experience and get some experience under his belt playing and starting games. And then with the Vikings, I'm not surprised that he's succeeding because he's proven with the Cardinals that he can take a playbook within a week and absorb some information and go out of the field and perform. Also, the Vikings have a better roster than the Cardinals in terms of players on offense,
defensive players, and
the defense. Exactly. So that also he's the type of backup quarterback that can win you a game. Now the question is, can he transition into a starting quarterback? That's the jury is still out there on that.
I think what
he has balled the last 2 weeks, though. I got to give him his props. He's really.
They got out to a massive lead again in this game against a Saints team, particularly a Saints defense that is particularly they're not supposed to be an easy team to play against. Their defense.
Yeah, the Saints defense they're not. Always a bit of
and they've always been pretty damn good. And he moved the ball down the field, just over 250 yards passing, touchdown, no interception, no fumble, and he had 44 yards on the ground and a touchdown. He only sacked once. He's really elusive. That
I
is
think
one
he's
thing
more
he's
elusive
got.
than most people think.
Yeah, like he's really elusive, and the Vikings are sitting at 6-4 in that division. Everyone said, "Oh, the season's done." Because he's coming back.
Yeah, do you think he's going to
And
have
they're
like a
doing
Geno Smith kind of season where he sort of wills this team?
But they're
into the
doing this
playoff
without the number one piece.
Yep. Which is
Just
what you want to
Jefferson
see.
hasn't even gone on the field. And he's won 2 games in a row.
How old is
Yeah,
Joshua
exactly.
Dobbs? He's 28 years of age. Tennessee volunteer. Yeah, I mean, do you think this sort of gives the Vikings a little bit of like breathing room in terms of what they're going to do heading forward? Or do you think they still try and get their guy of the future in the next couple of years?
So,
depending on how Joshua Dobbs plays the remainder of this year.
So I really don't know. Because obviously Kirk Cousins is a free agent at the end of the season, isn't he?
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, but I think it sounds like he was playing so well that if there's an opportunity to bring him back, they might consider bringing Kirk Cousins back because he's played very well, and you can't really blame him for a lot of the losses because he has performed. But the question is, can Dobbs now has a chance over the rest of the season to prove that can I be the starter for this team and get a good deal in terms of money wise? But here's a difficult situation though, because he's never shown this potential and he's showing it. Is he going to be a Geno type or is he going to be a Fitzpatrick type? Because remember, Fitzpatrick showed flashes whereby he had excellent seasons. The Bills signs him to a massive contract and he regrets. Same with the Jets. He had an awesome season. They signed him to a good deal.
Well, it's the cycle of Fitzmagic, right? It's a Fitzmagic cycle.
Yeah, Fitzmagic. He's magical for like the season that he comes in, no expectations, and then, you're like, okay, let's believe in this guy. And then you sign him the money, and then it all goes back. So that's what we don't know with Dobbs. Is he a Fitzmagic or is he gonna?
With the Vikings, right? We look at the schedule. Denver. They play at Denver, and then they have the Bears. In my opinion, they need to win those 2 games, right? The next 3 games they've got to win, right?
Very winnable.
Because then they have the bye, and then they have the Raiders in Las Vegas. They win those 3 games. They're at 9-4. They're probably getting the playoffs. The last 4 games, Bengals away, 2 games against the Lions, and 1 game against the Packers. They win the next 3 games. They can afford to only win 1 of the last 4. They get to 10 wins. They should be there. But if they drop one of these 3 games, then they've got to pick up one of the games against the Bengals or the Lions.
Just tough.
The NFC, you've always got a chance. That's the thing, because it's such a weak conference compared to the AFC right now. So they have a shot.
They certainly got a shot. Is anyone going to put a stake in the ground and say the Minnesota Vikings are going to be in the playoffs at the end of the season?
I'll say so.
Because Minnesota, and the reason why I say this, the reason why I say this, do you know who's the team that's 8th in the league at the moment? In the NFC side.
What's in
Tampa Bay with a 4-5 record. This gap, there could be no jeopardy at all, right? They could be in just They could just win 3 games, right? And that's it. Win 3 out of the next 7, and that could be all they need.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a quick word on Tampa. They should be winning this division right now, but I don't know what they're doing.
It's interesting.
All right, let's move on.
Because Tampa only need the NFC South just seems to be utterly awful, right? speaking of the team that has not a good offense, but still manages to win. So, Pittsburgh Steelers. How are they doing what they're doing?
The Mike Tomlin effect, isn't it?
But every single win, they've been outgained. Every single win.
Yeah, but they find a way.
Yeah, but they find the reason why they're winning, and the reason why I said now that's why I said the Mike Tomlin effect, because Mike Tomlin is doing one heck of a coaching job, which in some ways is not really about the numbers. It's about situations in games and his game management, probably, and it's very superb. And I'll probably put it. He's got a number one game management or situational football player in the league right now, because to navigate a team to such a winning record at this point in the season, whereby it looks like they are going to make the playoffs, they're on track to make the playoffs, or at least finish with Mike Tomlin don't do losing seasons, man, no matter where he's at, and he's been an outstanding head coach for a long time.
500 and over. Yeah, no, it's the same.
You know that meme where it says that I think I don't know if it's
all right. So you look at
it's a Breaking Bad meme where the guy goes, he just can't keep getting away with this, and he does.
Right, you look at this, right? The Pittsburgh Steelers have 156 points in 9 games. They have 182 points against. They have a 6-3 record.
That's insane. Like, it's just one of those teams
purely coaching
that when you think about it, every time you see them, they're struggling. They're not consistent. QB play is kind of lacking at times, and to be honest, Kenny Pickett, usually towards the fourth quarter, he becomes a completely different guy, and he almost wills the team back into contention and sort of keeps it really close. But 6-3 is insane.
And
because if someone wants to mention the Steelers, in the back of my head, they're like, yeah, man, they're a losing team, man. They're just there, 5-5. But no, they're 6-3.
Like
the forgotten team. That's literally
the only other team that has a negative points difference and has a winning record is the Seattle Seahawks. But there's a 1 point differential, right? That basically they like. But this is just not only are they have a points record difference, they're getting outgained. So, like, sometimes you can outgain your opponent, but you obviously score less points. They're getting outgained. They're scoring less points generally, on average. But I think it is when they lose badly. When they win very close, and they grind it out, and they just know how to grind out results. It's one thing to marvel, but I can't believe that the Steelers are managing to do this season, particularly. But I can, but I can't. Because offensively, they just don't look good.
I mean, for me, the reason why I feel like they're doing this, Mike Tomlin is doing a heck of a job coaching this team. And I think the message to them is just win. It's kind of like finding a way to win. It's not really about the statistics. It's about managing game situations and finding ways to be able to come up with a W. I mean, if you look at the games, most of the games that they've won have been close margins or keeping the ball close type of games. And in certain games whereby the defense quietly has stepped up. That rookie cornerback that they've got, Joey Porter Jr., is doing a fabulous job as a rookie cornerback. Playing locking up teams.
Also, having Jalen Warren getting 5 yards a clip.
Yep. That also helps. And they also have the ultimate equalizer on defense.
DJ Watt.
Yep.
Right now,
how many sacks?
He is the face of the
10.5 sacks. 10.5 sacks in 9 games.
See, I mean, he's on a record pace as it is. You know, he's one of those alpha dogs on defenses that the team has, and he's a key component of the defense. Now, we'll talk about it later.
All right. Let's move on, because I've got a question for you boys. Can Trevor Lawrence actually carry his team to a victory? Because they got blown out against the 49ers. Against the 49ers secondary, it's not great. They got completely and utterly obliterated. They just didn't look like they can move the ball down the field at all. And you look at Trevor's stats, they're a bit underwhelming. Because
you have to remember they did play the 49ers defense, and that's not like a comfortable game for any QB.
Yeah, but
scoreline.
But the 49ers defense, you 49ers, you can pass the ball on them.
Yep.
Well, but here's the thing though. After the bye, I think the defense fixed some things. When they got, Chase Young played in this game, and the defensive line was able to really get some sacks. They were putting the pressure on, because having Chase Young really helps the defense out big time. I mean, even if he's just a rental till the offseason, if they can resign him, he's so playing tremendous.
You look at the previous 3 games prior to the bye, they gave up 400 yards on, just generally, gave up 450 yards against the Vikings. They gave up 330 yards against the Cleveland Browns. This week, just gone, they gave up just over 200 yards total.
See, that means that the defense during the bye had time to fix a couple of things. The addition of Chase Young has made a huge difference to that defense, whereby now they have another pass rusher on the opposite side that can put pressure and get after the quarterback. So they fix some things. Now going back to Trevor, he's not generational. I think with his time in the league, he has improved in the generational tag that he was given since high school going into college, that he was going to be in a generational type of QB prospects. I don't think he's proven that in this league, and your question is right. I do believe he still has improved. He can put a team on his back to win. Like I always say this, and I said this last season as well, but people didn't pay attention, or you guys didn't listen to me when I said he was playing well. He was playing tremendously. Doug Peterson has come and done a tremendous job for Trevor, but I said he hasn't had that signature game.
Do you know how many games this season he scored? He's thrown for more than 300 yards.
How many?
None.
0.
I don't think he has.
See, when I talk about generational,
no, he has. He threw for 300 yards
against
Buffalo.
How many touchdowns?
1.
See, for me, okay, here's the thing. There's certain statistics for me that it has to correlate, right?
And fumbled the ball 3 times in that game. But 1.
Okay, so here's the thing. See, when you throw for 300 yards, right, I expect 2 or 3 touchdowns to go along with that. You can't give me a bowl of jollof rice with no chicken. Where is my chicken? Where's my meat? You gotta get me some meat in there. I can't just eat all the empty calories. I can't just eat the rice. I gotta have some protein in there. Touchdowns are protein. They're precious. You gotta have that in there. You can't just give me carbs. So, in a sense, that's what I'm saying. He's got to match it up with those type of performances. When I say that, okay, Joe Burrow has had those type of performances whereby in a game that the Bengals have played, we have sat here and said Joe Burrow put the team on his back and willed the Bengals to win that game. He's had games where he's been hit, he's been taking a lot of sacks, but when you look at the stat line, 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks. He willed the team to win that game by making plays late in the 4th quarter. We've seen it from a lot of generational quarterbacks. We've seen it from Kyle Murray. We've seen it from even Josh Allen. We have not seen that from
Trevor
Lawrence.
Yeah,
whenever he wins, is the whole team is playing well. I want to see him play well when the team is playing poorly, and then the team are winning because you're making crucial throws and you're dragging them to that win.
Yeah. Like you look at their 5 wins, that 5-win run that they went on, right? Actually, you look at 6 of the 2 of those 6 wins are against my Colts. They have some hijinks against my team. They've done some voodoo magic against my team to prevent us from winning.
They seem to be always out for playing your Colts. I don't know what you guys ever did to the Jaguars, but they get more extra motivation playing you guys.
They beat the Steelers. to beat the Saints, to beat the Bills, to beat the Falcons. Saints don't have an identity on offense.
Yep,
Steelers don't have an
That's
identity on offense.
Yep.
The Bills, we've talked about their troubles this year.
Mm-hmm.
And the Falcons, well, they're putrid on offense at times.
If at that.
They've lost to the Chiefs. They lost heavily to the Texans. They lost to the 49ers heavily. Now, we look at the rest of their schedule for Jacksonville. They've got games against Baltimore. They've got games against Cleveland. They've got a game against the Bengals. They've got the Texans again. 4 more games. And that's 4 out of the next 4. Actually, they've got Titans, Texans, Bengals, Browns, Ravens. So they run the AFC North gauntlet 3 games in a row.
That's tough. They've got a tough couple of games coming up.
It's an uphill struggle all the way.
Then they have the soft end. They have a softer end to the schedule: Tampa, Carolina, Tennessee.
Yeah, don't sleep on Tampa. I'm not saying
Softer than
softer. Yeah. In an ideal world, yeah. But still not going to be enough.
Yeah. Well, they're currently in charge of the division, so they've got to do something to improve it. All right. I have one final question before we talk about what I think was the game of the week. So the question is, what was worse? The fake spike into triple coverage by Bailey Zappi or Mac Jones' pick? Because the Patriots are awful. And
Terrible.
Mac Jones looks like he's done. We saw Bill O'Brien absolutely laying into him on the sideline. Just shouting.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. That throw, like I said, is worse. I mean, it was just all
because I don't know. Zappi was.
I guess Zappi's triple coverage, but I think Max was even worse because if that was to take the lead and get a bit of momentum going for the Patriots, you've drove the ball all the way down to the red zone, and it was just it's like there was no effort in that throw. It's like,
look, man,
I don't know.
It looks so bad, but when a throw's like that, I'm always wondering, was the receiver running the same route? Because it was so bad.
This was nothing on Gesicki.
You know what I mean? It looks so bad.
The
it looks literally like
meant
we're not
to
even
be
in the same
the
place.
end zone. Well, look, no, I will put it on Gesicki. The throw is meant to be in the end zone.
The throw went to the person who went to who it needed to go to, though. It needs to go to our team because obviously, like, we needed to win that game, man.
like the
that game was awful. That game was utterly rubbish.
No,
it was awful. But the way, like, when I see that throw, I'm like, I'm a defensive guy and I play defensive tackle, and I could make a better throw than that. I kid you not, because that throw, it was like there was no, it was one of those where you lob it, and when you lob it, if an interception is going to happen, it has to happen in the end zone. It's like the defender was even falling backwards to grab that high. It's like he knew he was beat. The defender was beat, and then when he turned around, it was like, "Oh, the ball is here. Okay, I'll have it." Like, that Colts defender knew Gesicki is just beating me, and I just giving up a touchdown, only to realize that the ball is coming to me, and then he grabbed it, and I'm like, "Come on, man!"
All right. I think Mac Jones is probably done in New England.
Mate, I
Just feel like
remember
this.
when he got drafted, he took out a patent for Mac 10, kind of like TB12, to sort of because he was like, man, I said I'm a made man. I'm going to Bill Belichick. I don't think he thought things would have ended up the way he is, and you can tell from his body language, he's just not bothered. Like Bill O'Brien was
No,
going
no, no, no,
ballistic.
no. He looked crestfallen on the sidelines.
Yeah, he looks sad, but I think he's there like, look, man, I'm done. Just get me out of here. Give me a fresh start. I should have gone to
To
the
be
Shanahan.
honest, yeah, it's not
Oh,
exactly the best place to. But the thing is, people can
I'm gonna
reinvent
make this
themselves in
prediction.
this league. That's the thing.
Yes, that's exactly what I was about to say. I won't be surprised if Mike Johnson's career goes on the Geno type trajectory, whereby he goes somewhere, be a backup around the league for about 8 years, and he has a resurgence, just like Geno did.
Or he could just turn into Josh Rosen and disappear from the league.
No, I don't think he will.
That
I
is
don't
true.
think he's well. He's not playing well, but I don't think he's.
that bad.
I think he's just above.
And he cares more. And
he's
he
just
cares
above
more.
a backup right
And
now
he
in
cares,
terms
and he does
cares.
care more than the Josh Rosens of this world.
He just needs a
No,
fresh
no,
start.
he cares, but what I'll dispute, I'll disagree with that. He's not more than a backup at this point. The way he's playing right now, he's playing like a backup quarterback.
You mean
Although,
there's
to be honest,
there's
can
32
anybody
QBs that are better than him?
can anybody
Yeah, there are QBs that are better than it. But what I'm saying is,
32 though.
it could be a
quarterbacks?
confidence thing. You know, sometimes as a QB, your confidence could be shot whereby you don't even know if you can play at a level you can play at.
particularly within that offense, particularly. All right, the game of the week was a complete and utter shootout. Chargers and the Lions. They played some. It was fun to watch this game. And Dan Campbell, have you heard what he said in the press today about the 4th and 2? He's like, I tell my family, you've got to put on diapers before the games. Oh yeah, you know, at a certain point in the game, because you know you're going to poop your pants at one moment in this game. And
these analogies are just getting funnier and funnier.
But biting kneecaps, talking about crapping your pants. But
what a story.
This Lions team looks great. Jared Goff looks great. Amon-Ra St. Brown looks great. The 2 running backs look great. The defense didn't play well this week, but they got some dogs on defense. Aiden Hutchinson, Anzalone's playing well. And everyone seems to like them, right? Everyone likes the Lions.
Yeah,
they seem to play the game in the right way. They don't seem to play in a way that annoys people.
No, I think they play the game the right way. And I give all credit to Dan Campbell, and people have seen this team be constructed and built over time, and then finally put the right pieces together. Because for years, the Lions had terrible draft records, terrible GMs, but now they seem to have a solid organization, well run, and they finally put all of the kind of pieces together, and they got it right. And Dan Campbell, I think one thing I gotta give him major respect for, and I think he's a shoe-in for Coach of the Year, because of how he put the organization together. One thing I love about his style of head coaching is hire the right coordinators and let them do their work and be the leader of men, lead the room, lead the locker room, lead the team, lead the players, and manage the game. And he's done that very excellently well. But in this particular game, as much as I'm praising Dan Campbell for the outstanding job that he's done, I also go point out
Justin Herbert's
how
play, right?
How awful Brandon Staley is as a head coach for Justin Herbert, because what Dan Campbell is doing for Jared Goff by providing a competent team with a defense that can get stops, Brandon Staley is doing the exact opposite. You have a great, franchise quarterback. You just signed him to a lot of money. Your defense, it's not like the Chargers defense don't have the pieces, but I don't know why it's not clicking for them defensively. I don't know what's going on.
Is Justin Herbert actually a great quarterback?
I think he has all the tools to be, great.
I think
He
he's a
can
good.
become great. He has all the tools to be, and we've seen flashes of those moments. But what happens is you build bad habits. You know, like I said, his career could go either way. Like I said, he could become the new. Well, I want to say, I always bring up Carson Palmer.
Is he gonna be? But is he literally gonna be another Philip Rivers for this team? Where they
Yeah,
just
that's
kind
what you
of go
don't
over the
want.
line?
That's what it
That's
looks
what you
like.
don't want, and it's almost like a curse because he's got all the
Now,
tools there. He's
but
got
I
the
don't think
ability.
but he's not even reaching the echelons of what Philip Rivers did
Yeah.
in terms of.
God, that would be so bad if he's literally there for decade plus, and then, to be honest, if that was the
No,
case, I think
but
he'll be long gone because if he knows what he can achieve.
Well, Staley's going to be like the thing
He's
is,
not going to be there.
the only thing I worry about, right? So, at the moment, he has this incredible rapport with Keenan Allen, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Keenan is how old?
He's been in the league for a minute. Like, I'm pretty sure he's in his early
Keenan is
30s
like
now.
31.
Early
Say
30s.
31, yeah. So
3 more seasons.
No, it's not. No, Keenan Allen's not 3 more seasons. Keenan
it's
Allen
about 5
could
probably.
play very well into his 30s, even 37, 38, be so productive.
Because of the way he
Keenan
plays.
Allen,
Technique.
exactly, he's not one of those guys that rely on speed and fit. He's a technician. And technicians play for a long time in this league, you know. So he will still be a reliable outlet for a long time with the Chargers. They also got receiving option. They took Quentin Johnston, who started to get going a little bit, number 1, first round wide receiver last year. So in terms of weapons, they have it. My concern is that
they can
there
go
has
get
been this season,
Harrison
if you look
Jr.
at, I mean, if you look at Herbert's numbers, 17 touchdowns,
5. It's a good
5
ratio.
INTs. It's good ratio. 67 completion rate. He's playing well. They shouldn't have a 4-5 record. Their record should be more than the 4-5 they have right now. Based on how well Justin Herbert has played this season. When you look at some of the losses that they have, earlier in the week 1, 2-point loss to the Miami Dolphins. Okay, that's a wash. Lost to Tennessee Titans 24-27, 1-score game. Same. Lost to the last Cowboys 2017. Kansas City is where they really had a loss whereby
they got the butts handed to them by Travis Kelce.
Exactly. But if you look at all the other games, it's just 1-score games, and that comes down to defense because I feel like Herbert is putting up enough points. He put up 34 against the Dolphins. He put up 24 points.
The only thing I'll say to the contrary, there were at least in 2 of those games, maybe 2 or 3 of those games, Justin Herbert had the ball last. Right?
The defense got to do more. I feel like the Chargers
No. If you have the ball last, you've got to drive that team down the field and win. That's it.
Or at least get within field goal range to win.
Well, I guess you could put Herbert in the same category as Trevor Lawrence. I don't know if I've seen. I've
no, because
watched him.
I'm not going to say that because Herbert is capable of putting up numbers in games. That means you can win it, right? But when the game is on the line, Herbert's not getting over the line enough.
Well, basically, since he's a Cousins, I'll put up the numbers, but I'm not putting the team on my back.
I think he can, though.
He's putting
like
it now. He's like
okay. So when we say,
I think all right. So this week he put the team on his back, and the other side didn't have his back, right? But the other time, but the times when the other side has had his back and has said, okay, we are down 2, we are down 3, or we're down, right? Lead us down the field and win us this game. They don't do that.
Yep. I mean, this happens all over the league. If the team can get to just below like high 30s, low 40s, offensively, you've done your job at that point. In my opinion, you've done enough should be enough to secure the game.
But do you know how many times they have lost and got?
that,
But do you know how many times they have lost and got over 20? 20. Let's say 20 points.
28. Yep.
No. Above 20 point. No, above 25 points.
Yep.
Let's put, because 25 is not a massive, like, it's a good total, but not a massive total. Above 25 points and lost twice. The rest of the times they weren't putting, they scored 17 points 2 weeks in a row and lost. 24 points in an overtime game and lost.
I mean,
it's only against the first game and the most recent game that they scored more than 30 points and lost.
Yeah, so exactly. I mean, okay, so like Will said, I agree. Like he has the potential to put a team on his back. I guess we haven't witnessed it this year in a how do you call it? Sort of like in a winning, type scenario. Because when I say put a team on your back, we see a lot, and I know what I'm about to say. You could say it's a bit of homerism because I'm a Cardinals fan, but when we play the Falcons in that fourth quarter, even though Kyler's stat line doesn't show, when you watch the game, he put a team on his back to win that game. Because if he doesn't have that scramble, he doesn't have that play to get us over the line, then after he made that run, that throw to McBride to get us to the field goal range to kick the game with a field goal, we weren't possibly winning that game. So
I can't believe I'm going to mention Andrew Luck again, but there were weeks, remember, in...
Oh yeah, Andrew he definitely did that with the Colts a lot.
Right? Just, all right, I'm going to sling the rock, I'm going to bring this team back, and we are winning this game, and I'm going to win it for us. There's nothing you can do as an opposition about this.
Oh yeah, in his Colts tenure, he did that loads of times. He definitely put your team on his back a lot.
Herbert, I see, is a guy who can push the rock down the field a lot. And it's just... The Chargers are a team that we should be liking, right? But we're just associating them as perennial chokers.
They're still yet to find the right head coach. I just say it comes down to the head coach that can come in and challenge the mentality. Like, for instance, like Herbert.
Have you seen on that 4-2 play, right? The final, that 4-2 play. Have you seen Penei Sewell versus Joey Bosa? Right, Penei Sewell takes Bosa to the ground and just obliterates him.
Another player that's really become one of the top elite tackles in the league. And to me, I just feel like Herbert has it in him. Maybe he needs the right head coach to bring it out of him. The characteristics to go win the game for the team. Because think about it.
Let's say Staley's fired at the end of the season, right? I want to give you this scenario. Staley's fired at the end of the season, bringing in a new head coach. In 2 years' time, we're talking about the same thing. Then is the jury out?
Not if it's Jim Harbaugh.
If you're talking about the same thing, then it's Herbert, because it's two different head coaches, right? But what I'm saying is that if Staley goes out, they would likely look for an offensive head coach. Herbert is a type of player that a head coach that can bring like the best out of him in terms of like putting the team on your back a bit is a head coach that can come in and challenge him a little bit. I'm thinking, for instance, I know it's not going to happen because he's already with the Giants, but Daboll would have been the perfect head coach for Herbert, because he would look at you and be like, you can't do exactly what Josh is doing and putting the team on your back in situations to win the game. But obviously he's not there, and I don't know who is a Daboll type that's available if they fire Staley, because they don't make the playoffs. Staley's getting fired anyway.
Yep. I think Staley's gone regardless, but Jim Harbaugh, we'll see.
He's
hot property right now. I mean, we're gonna sort of go on to it anyway, like with the Raiders and whatnot, but Antonio Pierce and sorry to sort of segue a little bit, with the season, like if he's able to secure like a few more wins, the only person which I'll give a pass on not going with Antonio Pierce is if you can get a Jim Harbaugh. If not,
You've got to go with Pitt.
You got to go with Pierce if he wins out.
They can't do
games.
what they can't do to
Do what they
Pierce.
did to Rich Bisaccia.
Exactly. That's exactly
They
what I'm trying to
can't.
say.
Not twice. The team's responding.
No. All right. 2 quick segments. Baller and Player of the Week, then Baller of the Week, as we have every single week. So the Player of the Week. Will, what is your favourite one of this week just gone?
2-toe tap, Cortland Sutton. It was
It
even fooled me. I thought that was 100% out of bounds. But there was
not just the toe tap though. It's the spin out from Russell Wilson.
Yep.
That was like a hark from a while ago.
A while ago, yeah. Russ is getting well, I want to say he's back to like his old.
On.
Yeah, he's always been the type of QB that plays better when chaos is happening. If you give him a clean pocket, he's gonna mess up. You actually want him to be on the move, running for his life a little bit, and that's when he's gonna make those types of plays. But yeah, no, it was a textbook play. You can't even be mad at the defender. Defender had the right angle, position. It's just Sutton had the IQ and the experience to drag his feet in such a tight window. Like I said, it fooled everyone. It fooled the line judge. They had to replay it because it looked like an impossible
It looked like
something
that wasn't capable of happening, and it was.
There you go. It happened.
My Player of the Week is from that game that we just talked about, Chargers and the Lions. And it's a 75-yard touchdown from David Montgomery, and it was highlighted by this beautiful cut like halfway through that play where he broke 2 defenders and made them run straight into each other.
That's when you know that. I think we were talking about it in pre-show. I'm a huge. That's a complete and utter juke.
And it wasn't like a juke or anything. It was a cut. It was like a proper like
one step. Boom,
it was a step. But we don't associate this style of running with David Montgomery, really, do we? We associate power.
Yep.
And this was elusiveness.
Yeah, no, it's not easy to do, especially with like a full head of steam. But I think he probably had something in his peripheral. This is me sort of thinking of it like a running back. Yeah, no, it's very hard to do, especially when it's that wide open.
And it's beautiful. It was beautiful. Peter, I'm sensing some home bias in your pick.
This is no home bias, okay? You guys might think it is, but as the theme of tonight, the theme of
Kyler running around like a headless chicken, is that what it is?
Nope. The theme that we've been talking about is leading up to my point and my Player of the Week, which is put the team on your back. And Kyler Murray, fresh off an ACL tear 11 months ago, came back, game 1, put the team on his back to win a game 25-23 against the Falcons with a 25-yard scramble for 13 yards and then a 33 touchdown throw to Trey McBride. But my Player of the Week is the touchdown scramble, which the NFL not put into the top 15 picks as a joke because no other QB, and I repeat, no other QB in this league is doing what Kyler did. Maybe Lamar, but I even doubt it.
Joshua Dobbs?
Jobbs ain't spinning like that and running.
No. But you know, like Josh is making it. He's having 2 guys draped over his shoulders. He gets out and then he runs. That is what he is. He is so slippery. Like it's not that he's slippery. He's so difficult to bring down, right?
Guys.
He just bounces off guys.
Down.
Well, he's a big dude.
I prefer Carlos, which is you ain't gonna touch me, and not a single one of them touch me.
Do you know what I'm gonna write? Me.
And right? You know what? It's funny, yeah, but it works.
He's Roadrunner, right?
Listen, Kyler runs like a toddler who grabs something and is running away, and you're trying to catch him. That's exactly how he runs.
You know what? A lot of people bring up Kyler Murray's size, but you have to understand. I think he's around the same size as Bryce, right? Bryce Young.
Yeah,
but he looks smaller
than Bryce, though.
Yeah, but he
Bryce
looks
smaller than Kyler.
No, yeah, he looks
Bryce smaller.
Yeah,
Kyler looks smaller. Do you know why I think Kyler looks
smaller?
But do you know what? Do you know
Kyler
why I
is thicker than
think?
Bryce.
Yeah.
Do you know why I
I'm
think
talking
Kyler is
Kyler's
smaller?
200.
Because probably I just see Kyler as like behind this massive offensive line, and him right
Yeah,
because he's more
Kyler,
mobile.
even though he's small, he's by no means he's short. He's by no means small. Like I think he's now around 200 pounds, but he's flexible.
No,
If you
Kyler is
compare him to Bryce,
210. I think it's probably 210 right now.
Two
Kyler is
ten.
similar to Russell in terms of like the 200-pound build
Yeah,
in a short guy.
But he
And
doesn't.
Bryce is less than 200.
But he doesn't look anywhere near as big as Russ does.
no, Russ
No,
is
no.
definitely. Yeah, Russ is like I think
A lot thicker.
he's carrying a lot more tub. He's not quite as lean as Kyler, to
Yeah.
put it.
All
put
right,
it lightly.
I'm gonna move this on. Baller of the week. I'm calling an audible. My honorable mention is now my baller of the week. I've got Deo Adingbo, 3 sacks in the first half for the Colts.
Yeah.
That 3 sacks in one half of football. Hey,
That's impressive.
that's impressive. In one game is impressive.
Pass rushers was doing it, we would call it out, and for him to come out, I hope this is a breakout game for him, and he can carry on and go from strength to strength, within this defense. My ball of the week, first in our podcast history, maybe, but I'm gonna go Justin Herbert because he had a very outstanding performance against the Lions. 4 touchdowns, I think only 1 INT. And the team still lost, which is mind blowing because normally when you throw 4 touchdowns, your team usually wins. So he's my ball of the week. He balled out. Unfortunately, the defense decided to lay an egg and not play hard enough.
Well,
yeah, no, I think sort of most of you know I'm gonna go with CJ Stroud. And I know Pete's gonna be like, but how? Like he threw an INT, like
he threw an INT, had 2 fumbles
that
lost,
can't be
but
balling.
but he
all
balled
I'm
in.
saying is,
He did what he needed to do to get
Yep.
that win. That's what it
and
was for you.
it was a hostile environment as well. And he was able to go in there and get it done.
All right. Let's move on to. We've got 5 games that we want to talk about in week 11, and the first of those is the Bengals and the Ravens on Thursday Night Football.
Ooh,
The final game I'm going to be able to watch perfectly live before I disappear off this continent and go further east.
that's gonna be a humdinger, that one.
That is going to be a humdinger. It could be low scoring.
Yeah, I can see that.
I can see it being a low scoring game because I think the Ravens team is not going to like having completely laid an egg previous week.
Yep.
Yeah, I think a point of emphasis John Harbaugh will make to the team, I think, will be finishing. I think it will be the theme for them coming into this game, which is if they are ahead in the fourth quarter, finish the game. Because against the Browns, they let the Browns hang around. Because when it was 24-9 with 20 minutes to go, I thought it was done. I thought the Ravens had this soon up and they're just going to put the finishing touches to it. But they allowed, chances and they allowed it to fester. So, and also the Bengals also at a point whereby they need a win badly. It's like both teams don't want to lose a particular matchup, and it should be a fun and interesting game. Low scoring games, probably the winner ends up being in the 20s of points. But
actually, I'm going to caveat this. The last 4 games, the Ravens have scored more than 30 points.
And you know the funny thing, yeah, the Ravens are stacking up wins, yeah, and Lamar's stats for the season is not even that great.
That's because they lacked fluency and their defense. Did you see that interception return? No, like the first 30 seconds of the game. Now, if they keep.
I mean, I'm sorry, but after this game, I don't think it probably won't happen this game. But going into the season, Lamar got to put up better numbers, and we know he can.
Well, he did it the previous week, right? Put up good numbers. This last week, I
Yeah,
don't
but
know
at this
what
stage in
went
the
wrong.
season, Lamar Jackson, he has 10 passing touchdowns to 5 INTs.
So the Ravens
That's
are
a bit
So the Ravens are 4
low
points.
by Lamar standards.
The Ravens are 4-point favourites. Expected points total in the game is 46. So
you're expecting the winner to be in the 20s. You're expecting a low-scoring game. But what I was saying is, okay, so last year, Lamar was injured, and in 12 games, he has 17 touchdowns.
25-21 expected, kind of.
And this year, 10 touchdowns, 5 INTs. Production a bit.
If we look at the number, right? So they lost last week on the back of the run, really, right? They allowed the Browns to run the ball down the field at times as well. Now, Cincinnati are the worst team in the league for the run. Baltimore, the best team in the league against the run.
Yep.
Baltimore have the best rushing attack. Sorry. Baltimore against the run, they're 11th. They're fourth best in the league against the pass. That is the key to this game. Can Burrow move the ball down the field against this Ravens defense? If he can't, they're not going to be able to run the ball because they're terrible running the ball. Utterly abysmal. So, that's where I see the key to the game, because if the Ravens manage to clamp them down, this game's done.
Yep.
If they keep them to under 20 points, they win.
Not necessarily. Okay, so here's my little caveat to it, which is
the Bengals defense isn't good enough to be able to prevent them from going down the field.
Yeah, I get that, but that's what you see. Key stops, maybe a 10 over here and there, could prove to be a massive difference. Also, what we need to understand is the Bengals, right, with Joe Burrow, over the past couple of seasons, one thing I've noticed is when they hang around and you don't kill them off early and you don't keep shutting the door, in the fourth quarter, they tend to have some sort of resurgence.
He will do so.
And he starts coming again. That is the danger point in this game, because if the Ravens, the key is the fourth quarter for me personally.
Now,
and
if
the Ravens making sure they finish it there.
If they have got Keaton Mitchell going, right? Because he quit, right?
Yeah, he's very good.
Cincinnati are the 30th team against the run defensively. They're the third worst in the league. If the Ravens get running that ball,
they could run away with it early.
That could be a problem.
They could, yeah.
I mean, if the Ravens can, they should measure the points that the Bengals need to score back to get back in the game in the fourth quarter is maybe more than 2 scores or maybe 3 scores. You know, let's say the Ravens are leading the game, let's say 24-7 or something like that. Because if it's still close, and let's say the Ravens have scored 24 points, Bengals are like on 14 in the fourth quarter, I give the Bengals a chance. Like we said, Joe Burrow starts getting hot again in fourth quarters.
All right. I want to move us on. Kelsey Bowl 2.0. Well,
Kansas City defense is playing really well. Can't underestimate Pat Mahomes. They can be one-dimensional. I think we're more balanced across both sides of the ball. But like I said, even our offense has sort of sputtered a little bit.
Do you know what? Your offense has sputtered, but you've got the third best points scored per game in the league.
Yeah, because I think we have like a lot of explosive plays. You know, AJ Brown down the stretch has been amazing for us. So we're getting like a lot of explosive plays, but against the Kansas City Chiefs, you've kind of got to go back and forth with them. Like you can't let them get 2 scores ahead of you, because when they play from ahead, a lead, they're very hard to beat because they can score more if they need to.
Now, if we look at the way that
I almost don't want to start strong. I want to sort of keep them there, you know, because if you go too far, like if you go 2 scores up, Pat's just going to go into like GOAT mode and he's going to just score a lot of points very quickly if he needs to.
what this Eagles team needs to do is they need to get a couple of turnovers. They need to do something to force Pat. So if they, like, you guys are great at stopping the run.
Yep.
Shut down
Just get
Pacheco.
whatever.
Shut down Pacheco. And then have Pat sling the rock. Shut down, get Kelsey like completely shut down. And then see
Yeah.
where they need to be able to push the ball. Now, I think that's if Kelsey manages to get control of this game, then that could be a problem. But that's where I see that's the key every week, generally. But offensively, how do you beat this really stout defense? Because it's not just in like them being good against the run or the pass. It's the scheme. It's what the defensive coordinator of the Chiefs manages to do, right? He manages to. He has some tricks up his sleeve, and this is getting to like the key time in the season. Or is he going to leave some of it on the table? Have you seen your next 4 games actually?
Yeah, no, it's a bit of a gauntlet.
Chiefs, Bills, 49ers, Cowboys. No, next 5 games, and then Seahawks. The end of that.
Yeah, no, it's very much a gauntlet. Dallas is the only one that truly matters.
You beat Dallas, you win the division, and therefore it doesn't matter.
That's
Everything
what
else
matters.
doesn't matter.
Dallas for us is very important. Of course, we want to win out, but realistically, we've just got to take care of business against Dallas because it's hard. It's very hard to beat the same team twice, especially if it's like a competitive game. So I don't know. Like, I don't want to pick against my Eagles, but it's if anyone can beat us, it's Pat Mahomes. We just got to remove Kelsey, diminish their run game, and then we've got to force their twos and
And
threes.
you've got to move down the field with the ball.
Yeah.
Actually, you've got to be able to actually move. Just if you manage to do those things, then you can go into Kansas City and win.
If we can get to like a lot of 4th and 2s, 4th and 1s, then it's going to be a long night for Kansas because we can almost convert on that guaranteed. But it's just a case of, like I said, we need to score early and often and then keep them close. We don't want to rush ahead. But then we also don't want to be like 2 points behind because we're just not going to make back the ground. Our offense isn't designed like that.
All right. Let me move us on. Browns Steelers, aka the battle of which offense can be worse.
Yep.
So let me rephrase that. Which defense is going to be better to win this game?
I think the Steelers.
I actually don't know.
I want to say the Steelers, but Miles
I
Garrett.
wanted to be.
If Miles Garrett goes crazy,
this is a battle of Miles Garrett versus TJ Watt, and they don't ever, and then everyone on the field at the same time.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're not on the field at the same time. Unfortunately, but if Miles Garrett goes crazy, which he can, this game I reckon the Browns steal a win here. But
yeah, but at the same time,
yeah,
the thing about pass rushers is that TJ respects Miles Garrett a lot, right? But here's the thing: if we play each other, and let's say,
are you saying TJ's gonna ask to go in on like a block? They're gonna line him
up.
No,
that's not happening.
No. What I mean is that if Miles Garrett, the game start off,
he's not Jordan Mailata where we want to have him.
Miles Garrett has 2 sacks already. TJ will up his game to match it because sometimes when you're playing an opposite pass rusher on an opposing team and they are scoring high, it happens a lot with receivers. So if they see the receiver from the other team is playing well, he will be like, "Hey, you gotta throw me the ball." It's the same thing with defense. So I think they're both gonna have great games. I hope they both go off because they provide an exciting matchup because they'll be trying to outdo each other even though they don't play on the same side of the ball.
Nothing else exciting on either team. So yeah.
Because if I see Miles Garrett go in cause a strip sack, if I'm TJ and I'm watching that, I'm like, oh, that's me next. I'm coming too.
Exactly. I don't know who's going to win this game. I really don't. It's a mid-off as far as I'm concerned. All right. Jets, Bills. Jets managed to beat the Bills on opening night.
Bro, it's weird, but if you'd asked me this question like week 3, week 4, it would have been easily like I would have said the Bills, but no, I'm gonna go with the Jets here.
Are you gonna? Are you
I believe in Zach.
the
I
only
mean, you
thing
can
Lies.
go.
no, this game's in Buffalo.
Lies.
Oh yeah,
Listen,
true.
yeah.
His little
For everybody
BYU
that's listening
hands
here,
can't play in cold weather. Yeah,
bruv, I'm gonna call Willa a little bit here, yeah. Here's the slack of Zach Wilson so much. Zach Wilson could take the Jets to win a division and he would be like, well, he had a great team around him. He had star receivers, he had a top defense. You refuse to give Zach Wilson no credit. Even if Zach Wilson was to throw for 10 touchdowns, we'll be
The
like,
Bills
the
are
receiver made 2 great
All right,
plays.
let me put it this way: the Bills are 7-point favorites in this game, and there's only expected to be 41 total points.
I think the Bills will beat them. I think the Bills have
I
backs
think the
against
Bills
the
are gonna
wall and they will rally.
They've got to win this game. If they don't win this game, their season is over. There are no bones about it.
That I concur.
Because they'll be 2 games behind the Jets in terms of divisional. Like
divisional
if they've
wins.
lost 2 games in the division. So there's not a lot to talk about that game. Can the Bills offense play like the Bills offense should? If they can't, can the Jets offense actually play? If they play and don't shoot themselves in the foot, can they keep up with the Bills?
Yeah. So it's kind of like one of those games.
Bills going to win. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. Resurgent team, Broncos, Vikings. This is an interesting one because is Russ back? Or is Rusty back-ish?
I mean, this is a completely different team to what we saw in the first 3 weeks. I think Sean Payton has done an amazing job so far in terms of rehabilitating and working this team back to at least taking steps to sort of get back to where it was. His number one job.
I'm
going
to
to
ask a question, right? Is this on the offense getting back to normal, or is this on the defense actually playing like a defense for once in their lives?
I can't really pinpoint one because I think the defense was so bad, and the offense was also well, probably not as bad as the defense was, but they weren't that good either. And Russ was not playing well at all, So I think it's a mixture of both. But Sean Payton's number one job was to fix Russell Wilson, and I think that's what he's done.
He's getting towards that point, right?
He's getting towards that point. It's not done yet.
Yeah,
it's not done yet. The Vikings are now going to be playing against a quarterback. No, the Broncos are going to be playing against a quarterback in Josh Dobbs, who's just seems to be inspired, right? In the way that. And it's not the standard type of quarterback that they play against, a guy who can maneuver themselves around.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if JJ is back next week, that's another problem that they've got to worry about.
Yeah, JJ might want to. I mean, here's the thing, like I thought if this season wasn't going to go anywhere, I think he just shuts it down. His agent says, yeah, I mean, there's no need. Even the organization wouldn't mind. But 6-4, you could be playing in January. So if you work your way in, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's like, you know what? Why not? I'm going to try and get back on the field.
But we know that he's not going to be back on the field until he's 100%.
Yeah.
So that is the case. Yeah. Is anybody? Are we going to say? So Broncos are listed as favourites of this game. The team with the worst record are listed as favourites.
I think
because they have the QB1. They have the QB1.
I'm gonna go with Denver as well, because Sean Payton's not gonna make the same kind of mistakes. He's gonna make sure if the game is close, he's just gonna coach a tight game.
I'm gonna be on the Josh Dobbs train. Vikings gonna win.
Okay, fair enough.
All right. There we have it. Final episode for me this side of Christmas. I will see everybody in just over 5 weeks' time.
But, me and Pete will be holding down the fort in between.
Will and Pete are going to be holding down the fort in between, and I'll send messages of this guy's playing badly, this guy's saying good. But I'll be 5.5 hours ahead of the UK on my timing, so I'm going to be like 10.5 hours. I'll be able to watch the night games if I wake up early and watch it at 7 a.m. where I am in the world. But aside from that, it's goodbye from myself. Goodbye from Peter and Will, and those two boys will catch everybody on the flip side. And until then, see everybody after Christmas.